Hi, my name is Dina Clark, and I will be talking today about Ferpa. And Ferpa is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, and it was enacted in 1974, um, mostly known as the Buckley Amendment. And I actually remember this when I was younger and hearing about it quite a bit since I was born in the 70s. What is Ferpa? Well, um, like I said before, Ferpa is the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act. And what that means is that students and family members, parents, have a right to have your um, school records to be private and basically to not share them with just anyone. I went ahead and put the link here that this definition comes from and went ahead and cited that. And basically, it is a federal law, and I will discuss that here shortly. The family's rights in FERPA, it says school districts need to let the parents know about their rights. And I thought this was kind of interesting because I've worked in many districts and I honestly don't know that gets done every year. I'm wondering, even as a parent, that I've ever received anything about knowing about my FERPA rights. But basically, it says that we have the right to review all education records, and that if any records are inaccurate, that families may seek to have that changed so that they are accurate. Um, Family rights that the parents may sign to disclose certain personally identifiable information. I used this information when I was a school counselor, and schools would contact us, or military services, and we would have to have students and parents sign for me to release that information. Parents may file complaints when FERPA is not followed, which I'll talk about later. And families are also to be shown procedures on how to access this information, how to access the information about FERPA. What does all of this mean? And basically what it means is that FERPA allows families to have access to their children's educational records until the child reaches the age of 18. At the age of 18, that right is transferred directly to the student. And this too was also interesting when I was a school counselor, because many of my seniors would turn 18 during the school year, and we had to have signed on paper, on file, that we could still release the information to the parents. If the child did not sign that form, then we did not have to release the information to the parents, which I found quite interesting. But most of the kids signed it. It also means that the records are private to others. It means that they can stay in files, they have to stay confidential and cannot be shared publicly. Schools that receive federal funding must abide by this amendment, and no fund shall be available to any school at that time if they do not abide by FERPA. What constitutes an educational record? Of course, any kind of record that's a file, a document that has anything to do with that student. Anything that's maintained by the educational agency, there be it the school, teachers, any of those kinds of things. Instructional records are not educational records. Supervising records are not educational records. Students that have law enforcement records, meaning they've been in trouble, the school resource officer contacts the law enforcement, those records are not an educational record. Any medical records used to treat a student 18 years of age, for example, a student that is seeking psychiatric help and enrolling in a college, those are not educational records. And of course, directory information, unless a parent has signed a statement letting you know that they do not want that information released. This is where I found some interesting information. The definition by school personnel. We talk about slander, libel, privilege, good faith, acts of malice. And I won't go into all of those in detail. However, I did put on this slide the teacher's lounge. And the reason why I did that is because I found, as a school counselor, I wanted to stay out of the teacher's lounge because teachers would try to dig for information. And of course, counselors' confidentiality was very important. But also, I don't know that teachers all understand that they are required by FERPA to avoid talking about students or writing about students in a defamation type role. one of the ways that a lot of times students are defamated is by slander, and that would be orally, um, when teachers are talking about them and identifying them and talking about them, and it could be just in even a facetious manner in the teacher's lounge. And everyone knows that this occurs probably more so than we like to admit. Libel is just the same thing as well, except it's written. And so if teachers send emails or write information that's not factual, they can be charged. Um, I found this to be very interesting, and I don't know that this is covered with all new teachers, but I believe it should be. Parents are to be given the notice of rights, and I said that teachers and school personnel need to be aware of the limitations of FERPA because, again, I don't think teachers are trained in knowing what their limitations are as far as um, just gossiping per se about the students, and I think that can definitely be detrimental to the student and to the family. Being knowledgeable in FERPA can protect everyone involved. And I think that FERPA is a great program, a great law. I just think that more teachers need to be more aware of the limitations of it and what our requirements are. Thank you.